My husband Su Mubai got promoted and was allowed to bring his family to live with him at the military base. He bought 3 train tickets, one for himself, one for his cousin Lu Xiaoya, and one for her son. Ching, once my mother's leg heals, I'll come back to pick you up. In my previous life, Su Mubai had said the exact same words to me. He took Lu Xiaoya and her son away first, leaving me behind to take care of his injured old mother. Not long after Su Mubai left with Lu Xiaoya and her son, I was caught in an alleged affair with Lu Laosan, the village bachelor, by my mother-in-law Wu Hohat. I had no idea how that happened. With my reputation ruined, I mustered every ounce of strength to go find Su Mubai, hoping he would help me investigate and clear my name. But instead, I saw Su Mubai accompanying Lu Xiaoya for a prenatal checkup at the hospital. It turned out Su Mubai had already fathered a child with Lu Xiaoya behind my back. In despair, I ended up on a path of no return. Now that I've been given a second chance, when I hear those familiar words again, I nod calmly. Don't worry, I'll take good care of your mother. Less than 3 days after Su Mubai left, I quickly sent him a telegram: mother critically ill, return immediately. When Su Mubai received the dreadful news and rushed back, he was stunned to see Wu Hohat, whose legs had already been amputated. He tried to negotiate with me. Ching, how about you stay in the countryside for now and take care of my mother? I had already packed my bags, and I told him calmly, whoever's mother it is, let them take care of her. I'm an outsider, I have no obligation and no duty to be your free servant. After Su Mubai's promotion order came through, I, his wife, was the last to know. Next door, Sister Qin grabbed my hand and said, Ching, in a few days, you'll be leaving with the army. Your hard days are finally over. When you go, remember to come back and visit me, don't forget me. I didn't say a word. Su Mubai had come back this time, saying he was on a month-long leave to visit family, but he had kept the transfer order from me the whole time. If Sister Qin hadn't blurted it out first, he wouldn't have told me. In my past life, as soon as I heard about it from Sister Qin, I immediately went to ask Su Mubai. Forced to tell me the truth, he said, Ching, Xiaoya and her child are struggling. She needs a stable job to raise her kid. I plan to take them first and bring you next time. I was furious. Why? I'm your wife. What does taking Lu Xiaoya and her child mean? How are you going to explain your relationship with Lu Xiaoya to others? Su Mubai was left speechless by my questioning. Flustered and angry, he snapped, this is a good deed, helping others. As a military wife, shouldn't you support my decisions? But why should I? When I married him, he had nothing, 2 broken-down thatched huts and a frail mother, with bare walls as their only possessions. Back then, no woman in the village was willing to marry him. They all looked down on his poverty, despised his mother Wu Hohat for being vicious, shrewish, and lazy, a burden. I was the one who married him against all odds. Su Mubai, stationed in the army, couldn't help with anything at home. I toiled in the fields, bent over the yellow earth, desperately earning work points to keep the household afloat. As days passed and life improved, he got promoted, and so did the number of people he needed to take care of. Out of nowhere, he brought back Lu Xiaoya and her child, claiming she was a distant cousin whose husband had died and left her with no family. Back then, I was naive. I thought Su Mubai was a good man doing a good deed. It wasn't until he stopped sending his salary home after his promotion, until Lu Xiaoya's food, clothing, and lifestyle were a cut above everyone else in the village, until people started hinting that Su Mubai was giving all his wages to Lu Xiaoya and her child, that I finally caught on. So in my past life, when Su Mubai said he wanted to take Lu Xiaoya and her child with him to the army, I refused. We argued, and he stormed off in anger. The next evening, his mother Wu Hohat accidentally injured her leg and couldn't get out of bed. Su Mubai came to me earnestly and said, "Mom's leg is hurt, and she can't be left alone. Ching, you'll have to stay and take care of her. Once her leg heals, I'll come back for you." In my past life, I had no choice but to stay and care for the injured Wu Hohat. I watched helplessly as Su Mubai left with Lu Xiaoya and her child, carrying bags and bundles. To help Wu Hohat's leg heal quickly, I gave her the best food from our home to nourish her. Resources were scarce back then. Besides working hard every day, I would catch fish in the river and hunt wild chickens and rabbits in the mountains to make her delicious meals. Since Wu Hohat couldn't get out of bed, I personally handled everything, even cleaning up her waste. Afraid she'd get bedsores from lying still, I'd finish all my chores and then boil water to wipe her down. I changed her sheets and bedding every few days. I can honestly say I treated Wu Hohat 100 times better than my own mother. But how did she treat me? After Su Mubai left with Lu Xiaoya, Wu Hohat's leg showed no signs of improvement. She remained bedridden and immobile. Yet her appetite never suffered. Frantic, I went to find a famous local healer for help. That very night, disaster struck. My supposedly paralyzed, bedridden Wu Hohat led a group of people to trap me and the old bachelor Lu Laosan in bed. After such a disgrace, my reputation plummeted, and I was cursed and humiliated by the villagers. Wu Hohat, whose legs had miraculously healed, scolded and beat me every day, telling me to get out immediately, saying her family couldn't tolerate a slut like me. I tried to explain and plead my innocence, but no one would listen. At that time, I felt wronged and helpless, but there was still a glimmer of hope in my heart. I thought about how I had devoted so many years to this family, and Su Mubai knew exactly what kind of person I was. That Lu Laosan was 30 years older than me, ugly, disgusting, and repulsive. Was I blind to have anything to do with someone like him? I believed Su Mubai would stand by me and trust me. He would surely sympathize with my plight and give me an explanation. Clinging to that one thought, I took an overnight bus to the military base to find Su Mubai. On the way, I thought of many things, but never once did I imagine Su Mubai would betray me. When I saw Su Mubai accompanying a heavily pregnant Lu Xiaoya for a prenatal checkup, and learned that the baby in her belly was already 5 months along, my world collapsed. Furious beyond reason, I shouted and caused a scene, demanding that the military leaders give me an explanation. In the end, Su Mubai pulled out his marriage certificate with Lu Xiaoya. They were the legitimate, legal couple. And I, who had worked like a beast of burden in Su Mubai's home for 6 years, was just an outsider with no connection to him at all. The truth was so cruel that I didn't want to accept it, but I had no choice. With no one to turn to and not a penny to my name, I didn't know where to go. In despair, I dragged my exhausted body through the streets until a speeding car knocked me down, and I never woke up again. When I came back to life, I was still in a daze when Sister Chin from next door said the exact same words to me as in my previous life. I didn't know what to say. I just greedily looked around. How wonderful, I was back. Pushing open the courtyard gate, I saw Su Mubai tossing Lu Xiaoya's child up in the air. The boy was lifted high by his strong hands, caught, and giggled with joy. Lu Xiaoya stood nearby, smiling tenderly at them. When she noticed sweat on Su Mubai's forehead, she immediately took out a handkerchief to wipe it for him. They gazed at each other with deep affection, their smiles so bright and sweet. In the 6 years I had been married to Su Mubai, he had always been cold and distant to me. I never knew he could smile so gently and look so handsome. Hearing the creak of the door, they both turned to look at me. Lu Xiaoya's hand, wiping Su Mubai's sweat, didn't pause for a moment, as if I were an irrelevant person disturbing their intimacy. Su Mubai stopped tossing Lu Xiaoya's son and looked at me awkwardly. The laughing child, suddenly deprived of his fun, shouted, "Daddy, throw me again. I want to play." In my previous life, Lu Xiaoya's child had always called Su Mubai, Daddy. Su Mubai's explanation was that the child had no father and didn't understand what "daddy" meant, he was just a little kid babbling. How could I have been so stupid in my past life to believe such a flimsy excuse? I let out a cold laugh. Hearing it, a flicker of panic crossed Su Mubai's face, and he immediately put the child down to explain to me, "Dashu doesn't know what daddy means. He's just playing. Don't take it seriously." I ignored Su Mubai and just coldly stared at Lu Xiaoya, who was still wiping his sweat. The child doesn't understand, but doesn't the child's mother understand either? Faced with my interrogation, Lu Xiaoya was extremely embarrassed. She couldn't bring herself to answer me, instead looking pitifully at Su Mubai. "Qingqing, are you angry?" "I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I apologize." "Apologize for what? You didn't do anything wrong. Besides, is it reasonable for an adult to argue with a child?" Su Mubai had defended Lu Xiaoya more than once. In the past, I would just swallow it, but this time I didn't hold back. "Su Mubai, if someone else's child called me mom, would you think that's normal too?" Su Mubai was left speechless, unable to respond. At that moment, Wu Hohat rushed out of the house to smooth things over. She glared at me. "Weren't you supposed to buy meat? Why are you back empty-handed?" I coldly uttered 2 words, "No money." In my past life, when Su Mubai came back, would bustle around, spending all my savings to buy him meat and treats, afraid of treating him poorly. I was so foolish back then, beyond redemption. In this household of 5, I was the only one who looked gaunt and malnourished. If Su Mubai had even a shred of affection for me, he wouldn't have watched me wither away like this, neither human nor ghost. In my past life, I deserved being used by his family, but in this life, that won't happen. I won't let these heartless people take even a bit of advantage from me again. Hearing I had no money, Wu Hohat grew even more displeased. "I saw you leave with money. Where is it?" "Stolen. You're so useless. Why would they steal from you and not someone else? Just because you're easy to bully. Yeah, I guess I do have a face that screams pushover, which is why people walk all over me." Wu Hohat was choked by my words. In the past, whenever she belittled me, I would just smile and not argue, which made her addicted to bullying me. Now that I snapped back, Wu Hohat was furious, hands on her hips as she glared at me resentfully. "You useless thing, why aren't you cooking? Are you trying to starve someone to death?" I looked at her coldly. "Does no one else here have hands except me? Am I the maid in this house? If I don't cook, will you all just wait to starve? You're rebelling." Wu Hohat immediately turned to Su Mubai to complain. "Mubai, look at Gu Qingqing's attitude. She dares to talk back to me right in front of you. You can imagine how hard it is for me when you're not around." Lu Xiaoya promptly stood up to support the tearful Wu Hohat. "Auntie, let me cook. Don't be angry. Look at Xiaoya, how considerate she is. And she's a guest, there's no reason to let a guest cook." I sneered. "I've never heard of a guest staying for a year and a half. That's not a guest. That's inviting a deity to be enshrined." My words were merciless, and everyone in the yard fell silent. Su Mubai stared at me intently. "Gu Qingqing, what do you mean? Don't you think you're going too far? Apologize right now." "Apologize? Ha! Dream on. I ignored Sumubai, stepped up onto the porch, and went into my room. Behind me came Lu Xiaoya's sobbing, "Mubai, I've been nothing but trouble coming here. I'll leave now, I'll take the child and go tomorrow." I let out a cold laugh and slammed the door shut, blocking out all the noise from outside. I had no time to spar with these despicable people now. I had something important to do. Sumubai brought some money back this time. In my previous life, I was foolish, stubbornly believing that he had a hard time living alone outside, and I couldn't bear to spend a single cent of his money. Now that I know Sumubai is no good, of course I won't be stupid enough not to use his money. I opened Sumubai's luggage, took out all the cash inside, and put it in my pocket. Then I packed up the several pairs of thousand-layer sole shoes I had stayed up late making for Sumubai, and hurried out the door again with them in hand. In the courtyard, Sumubai, Lu Xiaoya, and the others were nowhere to be seen. I could only hear comforting voices coming from the main room. "Ha!" I hurriedly carried the shoes to Sister Chin's house next door. "Sister, these shoes are all for you to give to Brother Chin to wear." Sister Chin let out an "ah" and said, "Aren't these the ones you made for Mubai?" "What happened?" "Sister, I suspect Sumubai is cheating on me behind my back with Lu Xiaoya, so I won't waste the things I worked so hard to make." Seeing me say this, Sister Chin sighed and said, "Ching, ever since that Lu Xiaoya came, the village has been buzzing with rumors everywhere. I thought you knew in your heart and would endure it for a lifetime. It's not too late to wake up now. What do you plan to do?" "I'll take it one step at a time, but I won't let this heartless family off easy." "Sister, do me a favor." I didn't go back until after having dinner at Sister Chin's house. Sumubai was waiting for me in the room with a gloomy face. As soon as I entered, he asked me, "What's wrong with you today? Did you take the wrong medicine? How could you say those things about Xiaoya and her child?" "What, did I say something wrong? Does she not have hands or feet? She's been eating and drinking for free for over a year without even cooking a meal. Am I your family's free servant and maid?" "You." Seeing that I showed no sign of softening and my tone was sharp, Sumubai was stunned. He stared at me for a long time before finally suppressing his anger and said, Ching, I have something to tell you." I knew what he was going to say, so I also said, "I have something to tell you too. Let me speak first. The money you brought back, I've used it all to pay off debts, and it's still not enough. See if you can find a way to scrape together a few hundred more for me to pay off the debts." "What? You used all that money to pay off debts? How did you end up owing so much? That's something you should ask yourself. Aren't you supposed to take care of Lu Xiaoya and her child? They can't bear the slightest hardship, they want good food every day, the child needs snacks, Lu Xiaoya needs new clothes for every season, and on top of that, your mother also wants to eat and drink well every few days. I alone can't earn enough to cover all that spending running this household, so of course I had to borrow money. Speaking of which, you've been away for years and haven't sent me a single cent. You should have saved up quite a bit by now, right?" Sumubai was left speechless. In my previous life, I never gave him any trouble, so he took it for granted. Now that he knew we owed so much money outside, his face turned very ugly. "Can't you be more frugal? Telling me that is useless. Go tell your mother and Lu Xiaoya and her child. I've been wearing this one piece of clothing for 6 years and I'm still wearing it." Looking at my clothes covered in patches upon patches, Sumubai fell silent. After a long pause, he finally said, "I'll find a way to make up the money. Ching, I got promoted." I gave an "oh." Seeing that I showed no sign of happiness and looked completely indifferent, Sumubai had no choice but to continue on his own. The army gave me a spot for family members to accompany me. Pack your things and come with me in a few days. Sumubai's words shocked me greatly. In my previous life, there was no such good fortune. From start to finish, he had named Lu Xiaoya to accompany him. Why had this suddenly changed in this life? I didn't believe Sumubai would change, so I secretly kept my guard up. The next night, I overheard a conversation between Wu Hohat and Sumubai. Sumubai said, Gu Qingqing has become a completely different person now. I have no choice but to stabilize her first by saying I'll take her to the military base. Wu Hohat was clearly anxious. Are you really planning to take that barren woman to the military base? What about Xiaoya and her child? This is just a temporary measure to calm Gu Qingqing down. I'm definitely taking Xiaoya with me to the base. After all, Xiaoya is carrying my child, and I can't leave them behind to suffer at home. Wu Hohat quickly agreed, you're right. Take Xiaoya and go. Leave things at home to me. I'll find a way to keep Gu Qingqing here. Mom, what's your plan? Pretend to be lame. Tomorrow, I'll make up an excuse that I've injured my leg. I know someone at the hospital, and I'll ask them to help us cover it up. If Gu Qingqing behaves and stays to take care of me, we'll explain everything to her once Xiaoya gives birth. But if she causes trouble and doesn't listen, don't blame me. Mom, what are you going to do? Don't you know your own mother? I'll find a way to deal with Gu Qingqing once and for all, so you and Xiaoya will have no more worries. Wu Hohat pulled out a small pouch from under her pillow and proudly showed it to Sumubai. This is the anesthetic I got from a traveling doctor. He said just a little bit can knock a tiger out for an entire day. What a vicious old woman. So, was she the one who set me up with Lu Laosan in my past life? Since you're being ruthless, don't blame me for what comes next. Over the next 2 days, I secretly observed the actions of Wu Hohat, Sumubai, and Lu Xiaoya. I coldly watched them choose the spot for the fake fall and pretended not to see them discussing the details. I acted as if I knew nothing, packing the items I would take to the military base. There were many things, and it took me several days to pack. That evening, as I was packing, Sumubai came in. He glanced at me as I busied myself and asked, "Are you all packed? Is there anything you've missed?" "Almost done. By the way, when are we leaving?" Just as I finished speaking, I heard a loud thud outside, followed by Wu Hohat's screams. Sumubai immediately ran out, and I slowly followed behind. Wu Hohat was lying on the ground in the yard, letting out a blood-curdling scream. Sumubai and Lu Xiaoya rushed ahead of me to help her up. Sumubai said with great emotion, "Mom. Mom, what happened?" Lu Xiaoya chimed in, "Auntie. Auntie, are you okay? Where does it hurt? I'll go with Mubai to take you to the hospital." Wu Hohat kept wailing in pain, unable to form a complete sentence, only crying out in agony. Sumubai and Lu Xiaoya thought she was putting on an excellent act. Sumubai didn't forget to yell at me, who was lagging behind, "Gu Qingqing, what are you standing there for? Hurry up and help me take my mom to the hospital." I stepped forward and screamed, "Blood! So much blood!" Sumubai and Lu Xiaoya looked at where I was pointing. The blood gushing out from under Wu Hohat startled both of them. When they saw the blood staining the ground beneath her, they both screamed in shock. Wu Hohat was rushed to the hospital without a moment's rest, several miles from the village to the town hospital. Transportation was inconvenient, and naturally there were no cars. Wu Hohat was taken to the hospital on a flatbed cart, crying out the whole way, her voice hoarse by the time she arrived. When the doctor performed surgery on her, they found her buttocks covered in glass shards. Hundreds of fragments. It took the doctor a full 3 hours to clean them all out. After such an incident, my plan to accompany the army naturally fell through. While Wu Hohat lay unconscious in bed, Su Mubai couldn't wait to come and lay his cards on the table. Ching ching, my mom broke her leg. The doctor said she needs a long time to recover. It takes 100 days to heal bones and tendons. The family can't be without someone. I understandingly picked up the thread. I know, I'll stay and take care of mother. Ching ching, it's so good to have you. Then I'll leave my mom to you from now on. It's no trouble, it's what I should do. But taking care of a bedridden elder means I won't have much energy for work. Your wages. I'll send money back to you from now on, Su Mubai immediately promised. What I wanted wasn't just empty words. You'd better first find a way to borrow some money from others to leave with me for taking care of mother. And by the way, you need to figure out how to pay off the debts too. They've been owed for a long time, and we can't put it off any longer. Seeing that I agreed to stay and take care of his mom, Su Mubai was very agreeable. Don't worry, leave it all to me. I'll go find someone to borrow money right away. Su Mubai did as he said. Within less than a day, he borrowed 1,000 yuan and handed it to me. When giving me the money, he pretended to be troubled and told me, Ching ching, this army accompanying quota has a time limit. If I don't take you, the spot will be wasted. My thought is, Xiaoya has a hard time with the kid. Why not let Xiaoya take the child and come with me this time? Once she has a job, she won't be a burden to us anymore. No problem. I agreed readily. Anyway, it wouldn't trouble me for long. Su Mubai leaving with Lu Xiaoya would make things easier for me. My thoughtfulness moved Su Mubai so much that he came to hug me, but I stepped aside. Go tell Lu Xiaoya first, and have her pack her bags right away. Su Mubai left cheerfully, not even bothering to check on his mom whose backside was in tatters. On the morning of the third day, Su Mubai and Lu Xiaoya left carrying big bags and small bundles, just like in the previous life. I personally saw them off at the station, and as they boarded, I solemnly reminded Su Mubai, don't worry about home, I've got everything covered. I won't disturb your work unless something important comes up. Watching Su Mubai and Lu Xiaoya leave, I turned and walked away, first going to the village office to get the village chief and secretary to issue me a certificate proving that Su Mubai and I were married. Then I slowly made my way home. Wu Hohat had already been discharged from the hospital and was lying in bed calling out for me to prepare her food. Of course, I wouldn't deny her wish. I cooked her a big bowl of noodles with 2 poached eggs. In the egg noodles, I put the seasoning Wu Hohat kept hidden under her pillow, the kind that could knock out a tiger. After eating the egg noodles, Wu Hohat drifted off into a blissful sleep, and I went outside shouting at the top of my lungs, someone come quick. My mother-in-law has collapsed. Hearing my screams, neighbors quickly came to check. Seeing Wu Hohat in that state, everyone was shocked. I pretended to be concerned. She was fine just a moment ago. I had just made her some egg noodles, and when I came back after cleaning up, she turned into this. Someone shook Wu Hohat a few times and called out to her, but she didn't respond at all. Everyone was baffled. Could this be some kind of evil spirit? Is it possible? I frantically rummaged through the bed, and as luck would have it, I pulled out the bag Wu Hohat had hidden under her pillow. What's this? Everyone stared at the bag. Someone opened it, looked inside, and sniffed it. Strange smell. What's in here? The person next to them also took it and sniffed it a few times, but no one could identify it. At that moment, everyone who had sniffed the contents of the bag suddenly collapsed to the ground, showing the same symptoms as Wu Hohat, unconscious. Now everyone was terrified. frantically calling for help and rushing to the hospital. They all thought it was something supernatural, believing the bag contained some evil force. But I didn't think so. "We can't delay. Hurry and take her to the hospital," I said, finding a cart and dragging Wu Ho-hot onto it before pulling it out the door. The neighbors who had gathered to watch were now scared, seeing that the thing under Wu Ho-hot's pillow had knocked 2 people unconscious. No one dared to help me, all believing something evil was at play. That was exactly the effect I wanted. As I pulled the cart out, I didn't forget to wail and cry loudly. When I reached a steep section of the road and saw no one around, I stopped and pushed the cart down the slope. I watched as Wu Ho-hot tumbled off the cart and fell into a ditch below. I jumped down after her, and seeing her lying there unconscious, I picked up a rock and slammed it heavily onto her legs. Didn't she like pretending to be lame? Well, I'd give her what she wanted, let her lie in bed for the rest of her life, unable to get up. I watched as Wu Ho-hot's legs were drenched in blood, barely held together by a bit of skin. I messed up my hair, smeared some of Wu Ho-hot's blood on myself, and then climbed out of the ditch, screaming for help. Hearing my cries, villagers from nearby came to help me take Wu Ho-hot to the hospital. Both of Wu Ho-hot's legs were broken from the fall into the ditch, and the doctor immediately performed an amputation. I waited outside the operating room all night. When Wu Ho-hot was wheeled out without her legs, I cried and went to the post office to send a telegram. "Mother critically ill, return immediately." At the same time, I also mailed a pre-written letter of complaint to the military leadership. Wu Ho-hot woke up on the morning of the 3rd day. Her lips were cracked as she called out, "Water." No one responded to her call. Wu Ho-hot struggled to sit up but found she had no strength below. She seemed to be missing something. She forcefully threw off the blanket and looked at her 2 legs. 2 empty pant legs made Wu Ho-hot let out a blood-curdling scream. "Ah!" I pushed open the door and walked in amid her screams. "Awake? My legs. Where are my legs? Gu Ching, tell me, where are my legs? Weren't your legs broken a long time ago? Did you forget?" I reminded her. "No. My legs were fine. My legs were perfectly fine, how could they be gone after one nap?" "Mom, are you confused? Your legs were broken long ago, weren't they? You broke them while Mubai was still at home, everyone knows that, right?" "No. I'm not. I'm not." Wu Ho-hot was both in pain and furious. "I had both legs before, and now they're gone." "Oh, you mean why your 2 legs are gone?" I took over Wu Ho-hot's words, "That's a long story. That day you were lying in bed unable to move, hungry in your stomach. I cooked you some egg noodles, and after you ate them, you fell into a coma. I was terrified, so I used a cart to bring you to the hospital for treatment. Then I accidentally slipped and fell into a ditch, and your broken leg happened to hit a rock in the ditch. The doctor said that to save your life, amputation was the only option, so that's how your legs were gone." "You." "What did you say?" "You." "What about me? Are you asking why I'm fine?" "I'm curious too. Maybe it's because I do so many good deeds usually, and heaven is protecting me." I admired Wu Ho-hot's dramatic expression, then spoke slowly, "Mom, why have you been so unlucky lately? First you broke your leg in the yard, and you got a butt full of glass shards. Did you do something bad that offended heaven? I heard some patients' family members discussing that people in your situation have done bad things and are suffering karmic retribution." Wu Ho-hot was so furious she was fuming, "You're full of crap." A smile appeared on my face, "Mom, it's understandable that you're angry. I don't believe in retribution either. I only believe in coincidence. You know, you getting all that glass in your butt was actually just a coincidence. It was me. I paused, then said slowly, I broke a few glass bottles that day and swept the glass over there without cleaning it up in time. I didn't expect you to be so unlucky as to fall from that spot and land right on the glass shards I'd left there. What a tragedy. Wu Ho-hot pointed at me with trembling hands, wanting to say something, but in the end, she couldn't catch her breath and fainted. 9 Family dispute. Su Mubai returned 2 days later, travel-worn and weary. Seeing Wu Ho-hot lying in the hospital bed without her legs, Su Mubai was stunned. How could this happen? How could this happen? Seeing Su Mubai return, Wu Ho-hot looked like she'd found a savior. Son, it was all her doing. It was this vicious woman's doing. She's the one who made me lose my legs. Mom, what do you mean by that? Why would I harm you for no reason? I raised my voice in protest. Everyone in the village has seen how I've treated you, right? These 6 years, the life I've lived, how much I've given to this family, everyone can bear witness. You can't slander me just because you accidentally broke your leg. Su Mubai also looked at Wu Ho-hot with suspicion. Wu Ho-hot screamed hoarsely, she admitted it. She said she deliberately put the glass shards there to make me fall. Su Mubai's expression changed. Is this true? Yes. I nodded. Seeing me admit it so readily, Wu Ho-hot pointed at me furiously. This vicious woman used glass shards to harm me and made me lose my legs. She's trying to kill me. Mubai, call the police immediately and have them arrest her. I want her to go to jail. Mom, don't worry. I'll handle the police report. But before they arrive, I have a question for you. I took something out of my pocket and placed it in front of Wu Ho-hot. Mom, I found this under your pillow. What is this? Do you know? Wu Ho-hot's face changed color. And no. I don't know. I asked the doctor. He said it looks like some kind of anesthetic, inhaling it would make you unconscious. Mom, why did you put this under your pillow? Wu Ho-hot couldn't answer, and Su Mubai's expression turned grim. I pressed on. If you hadn't put this under your pillow, you wouldn't have passed out. I wouldn't have been so scared that I took you to the doctor, and I wouldn't have fallen into the ditch, completely breaking your leg and forcing an amputation. So, this thing is what caused all of this. I sighed. And it's not just you who suffered. Other villagers also inhaled it and were unconscious for a long time. They think it's something sinister and suspect you're behind it. They're about to call the police to investigate. That's why I was scared and called Mubai back. Now that Mubai is here and I've brought the evidence, it's up to you whether to call the police or not. I can do the legwork for you. Wu Ho-hot didn't dare call the police, and neither did Su Mubai. Although Wu Ho-hot kept telling Su Mubai that I was the one who caused her harm, Su Mubai didn't believe it. Or maybe he wanted to believe it but couldn't bring himself to. After all, I loved him so much that I would do anything for him. Why would I harm his mother? What good would that do me? What Su Mubai was worried about now was how Wu Ho-hot, who had lost her legs, would survive. He had only taken care of her in the hospital for a few days before he couldn't stand it anymore. After all, a bedridden person needs help with everything, including their bodily functions. With Su Mubai, her biological son, around, I, as an outsider, naturally had nothing to do. I used the excuse of feeling unwell and stayed in bed, leaving all the dirty work to Su Mubai. Su Mubai wanted to fulfill his filial duty, but handling feces and urine was not something just anyone could endure. Of course, Su Mubai loved Wu Hohat. After all, she was his mother. But now, he genuinely despised her. They say there are no filial children at a long-term sickbed. He didn't want to clean up after Wu Hohat. He needed a servant who would tirelessly take care of her for the rest of her life. And the first person he thought of was me. Su Mubai came to talk to me. Ching, I'm leaving for the military in a few days. Oh? What about your mom if you leave? I asked back. My mom is in this state now, and I really have no choice. I can only ask you to bear with it. He waited for me to respond with understanding and say, it's no trouble. This is what I should do. I'll take good care of your mom for you. You can focus on your work. Su Mubai was certain I would answer him with understanding and support, but I just kept my head down, packing my things. I had been married to Su Mubai for 6 years, and my belongings were pitifully few. There were only 3 or 4 patched-up clothes, nothing else. Right in front of Su Mubai, I folded the clothes and then scattered them again. Why should I even bother taking these shabby clothes? I had money in hand, enough to buy new clothes, so I didn't want these old ones anymore. I threw the old clothes on the ground in front of Su Mubai. Su Mubai was startled. He had been nervously waiting for my answer. Seeing me throw the clothes on the floor, he panicked. He thought I was throwing a tantrum and immediately started sweet-talking me. Once I get to the military, I'll send all my salary back to you, keeping only a little for myself. When my mom gets older, you can join me as a military spouse. Ching, I'll be grateful to you and cherish you for life. After listening to Su Mubai's heartfelt speech, I lifted my head. Really? Swear it? Really, I swear. If I deceive you, may I die a miserable death. Su Mubai reached out to grab my hand as he swore, but I pulled away. Then I'll just wait to see you die a miserable death. What did you say? Su Mubai stared at me in shock. Didn't you say you'd die a miserable death if you deceived me? Su Mubai, don't you know what's really going on between you and Lu Xiaoya? Lu Xiaoya and I are innocent. I just feel sorry for her. Oh, really? Then tell me, whose child is Lu Xiaoya carrying? Su Mubai fell silent instantly. I smiled sweetly. I heard that Lu Xiaoya is your legally wedded wife. Since that's the case, why don't you have Lu Xiaoya come back and take care of your mom? Why come to me? You and I are just strangers, aren't we? No. It's not like that. Su Mubai tried to explain, but he couldn't, because Lu Xiaoya had returned with her son. She looked exhausted, pulling her son Dashu by the hand as she pushed open the door and burst into tears. Mubai, the military received a complaint letter. Dashu and I have been sent back. Su Mubai stared at Lu Xiaoya in shock. What letter of accusation? I don't know. I was just kicked out of the military base. They won't let me stay there anymore, and they said you're about to be punished too. Hearing this news, I let out a cheerful laugh. How wonderful. Su Mubai turned to look at me upon hearing my laughter. I stood up. I sent the letter of accusation. I found out about you and Lu Xiaoya having an affair, so I wrote to the military leaders and also got a certificate from the village secretary proving our relationship. You. How could you? Su Mubai trembled with rage. I looked at his ashen face and laughed with particular delight. Su Mubai, since you love Lu Xiaoya so much and want her to bear your child, I'll grant you that wish. I then turned to Lu Xiaoya. Next, you'll have to deal with Wu Hohat's situation. TSK. Speaking of which, you've got it rough, carrying one in your belly while having to take care of a paralyzed, legless person. How disgusting. What do you mean? Who's paralyzed? Wu Ho-hat is paralyzed, isn't she? How is that possible? Wasn't she faking it? Lu Xiaoya blurted out. I laughed. She wasn't faking it. She really has no legs. Lu Xiaoya's face was a mix of emotions, and I clapped my hands in delight. Congratulations to you and Su Mubai for finally getting your marriage certificate. Thank you for taking over Su Mubai's family. Let me give you a heads up, Su Mubai has been fired and has no job now. Don't expect a single cent from him for a comfortable life. Your days are going to be tough. Most importantly, Su Mubai is drowning in debt. I had forced Su Mubai to borrow money, setting a trap for him long ago. He had spent every penny on Lu Xiaoya, and with Wu Ho-hat's fake illness and amputation costing even more, he was in deep trouble. Without a job, Su Mubai would realize how hard it is to make money once he returns to the countryside. I had no idea when he'd ever pay off that debt. But the most critical part was that they'd have to deal with Wu Ho-hat, who needed to relieve herself in bed. My reminder made both Lu Xiaoya and Su Mubai's faces turn grim. As I walked away laughing, I turned back at the door. Oh, and one more thing. Do you want to know why I couldn't get pregnant in the 6 years we were married? Su Mubai asked instinctively, why? Because you're infertile. You didn't think the child in Lu Xiaoya's belly was yours, did you? I laughed loudly. Of course not. The child in Lu Xiaoya's belly belongs to Ma Shaoer, the village loafer. I saw Lu Xiaoya and Ma Shaoer sneaking into the cave behind the hill with my own eyes. With that, I walked away laughing. I didn't actually know if the child in Lu Xiaoya's belly had anything to do with Ma Shaoer, but I had indeed seen them going into the cave. Since that was the case, I wasn't going to hold back. When dealing with enemies, you do whatever brings you the most satisfaction. With the money I had taken back from Su Mubai, I headed south and began a difficult struggle to survive. My days out in the world were a mix of bitterness and sweetness. I am someone who can endure hardship and is also hardworking. So when the spring breeze of reform and opening up swept across the land, I became one of the first to reap the benefits. My clothing business flourished. I successfully acquired over a dozen stalls, bought a big house, drove a car, and married a decent man. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, my child was 12 years old. I held a 12th birthday party for my son at a high-end hotel in Shenzhen. I never expected to run into an old acquaintance. Lu Xiaoya, aged beyond recognition, was working as a cleaner at the hotel. I walked through the corridor in high heels, my hair in big waves. Lu Xiaoya, who was cleaning the carpet, looked up and our eyes met. She widened her eyes in shock. It's you. Gu Qingqing, you've become rich. How is that possible? I looked coldly at Lu Xiaoya, her hair completely white and her body hunched. She glared at me with hatred. You found a sugar daddy, didn't you? Look at how you're dressed, you must have become a prostitute, or else there's no way you'd have money. Who do you think you are? I said contemptuously. I can live without a man, but you, without a man, you've ended up like this. It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, I would have settled down with Su Mubai in the military long ago. We would have lived well. You're a vicious, shameless woman. You made Wu Ho-hat a cripple, you got Su Mubai fired, and you planted a thorn in his heart. Lu Xiaoya roared at me in fury, it's all your fault. Because of your nonsense, Su Mubai suspected the child in my belly wasn't his. He always said my child's eyes looked like Ma Shaoer's. He kept doubting my relationship with Ma Shower, so when he got drunk, he dropped my child to death. I let out an "oh," and said, "That's really unfortunate. How can you be so cold? Do you know how much I've suffered?" He beat me, cursed me as a matter of routine, and forced me every day to clean up after that old hag Wu Ho Hot, to wait on her hand and foot. If I showed the slightest dissatisfaction, he would punch and kick me. Lu Xiaoya wiped away her tears. He said, "If she could do it, why can't you? When he was with you, he sneaked around behind your back to hook up with me, but after you left, he couldn't stop thinking about you, talking about your good qualities every day. So why didn't you leave him? Can't you live without a man?" I asked sarcastically. "Do you think I didn't want to leave? I had children. I can't be as carefree as you." Lu Xiaoya shouted, "It's all because of you that I've suffered so much. That damned Su Mubai killed my child and crippled another. Su Mubai was executed, leaving all the mess to me." "Really? Then you're really unlucky." I laughed mockingly, without a shred of sympathy. "I'm a mother. I couldn't abandon my child. Because I had a disabled child, no man would accept me. All these years, I've been running around to raise my child. Are you happy seeing me like this now?" I answered honestly, "Yes, I'm very happy. I hope you stay this way forever, for life, for all lifetimes." With that, I walked away in my high heels, leaving Lu Xiaoya's furious shouts behind me. Just impotent rage, nothing to be afraid of.